Welcome to a New Day Counselor Training Workshop. Glad you're all here. Thanks for coming, especially when I was coming down myself and it's such a beautiful spring day. So thanks for giving up your walk and coming in. Let's do introductions first. My name is Clarice Brady. I know several of you, but luckily I don't know all of you, so I can introduce myself. I'm born and raised here in Nevada County. I'm one of 8 children, so a little wild upbringing, more or less. I went to Nevada Union, went on to UC Berkeley, and later did my master's at Sac State University. I worked 5 years at behavioral health when I first was licensed, and then I took some time and I got to be a stay-at-home mom, which I was very grateful for. And I actually was at home a long time before I came back to work. Luckily, I had all my papers and I'd kept things updated so I could get back to work. I'm married 44 years. Forgot that. I'm married 44 years. I have 3 adult sons. 2 of them are stepsons. And so when I married their dad, they were 12 and 13. So that was a little wild. So I do have a heart for blended families for sure. And then the other thing important about me is that I have a daughter in heaven. And Avery died when she was 9. And so a lot of my career has been about working with people in grief. I invited Dina here. She's one of our lay counselors, and I thought it'd be fun to hear from her. And
yeah. All right. So I'm Dina Snellings, and I am a native to Nevada City. Married to my husband for 25 years, almost. I married, I always say I married his children, and everybody gets confused, like, what, you married his children? That's how I got children, as I got them through marriage. So married Tim when he had a 14, 12, and 10-year-old, and now they are going to be 40. Derek, our middle son, went to heaven early when we were 5 years married, 4 years married. He was in a kayak accident on the Yuba River. He was 16 at the time, so he'd be 38 now. And Tyler is 30, will be 35 this year. So that's a little bit of my history. I came to a New Day about 10 years ago. I think a lot of us get encouraged by somebody else. Clarice was just starting at a New Day and was doing a counseling workshop and had some spots open, and she kind of gave a gentle nudge. And I think a lot of our stories are the same. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'll go to the workshop and kind of check it out. And I don't know how God's going to use me, but I'm open. And that's really how I think all of us start here. So I started, like I said, about 10 years ago, and with uncertainty, feeling very underqualified to be used by God, really in any way. But I think that's just the spiritual warfare that I think we all kind of battle. How can God use, someone like me? So I started counseling, about 6 months. I really prayed on it and really wanted to be intentional with my commitment. Obviously, 10 years later, I took it very seriously. And how I've structured it and how it works in my life, and we probably all have different other demands besides this potential volunteer opportunity. So as a lay counselor, we are expected to attend a weekly supervision meeting, which right now is Tuesdays at noon. So I decided to organize my volunteer day around that commitment. So I see now 4 clients on that Tuesday, and I see a 5th one occasionally. And it's funny. We were just had our supervision meeting even this week, and one of our new counselors that just started already got a client, and that client graduated. And which is amazing, because sometimes we see clients for years that, for whatever reason, are in crisis and need that support for up to 2 years. But this client just needed to get over a hump, and she got over the hump. And the counselor was amazed that it could be that she could be used in a way that encouraged this woman to feel like she was equipped and supported, that she didn't need the services anymore. And when we sat around our counseling, our supervision meeting, we all shared the belief that really our job as lay counselors is to help those that we sit with to feel heard. And that really is the primary reason that I heard all of you say, you know, we want to be here to support other people that might be struggling, getting through hurts or hurdles, whatever is going on. And it's amazing how when we hold this space for somebody to just be heard, and what God can do through that healing once we give somebody an opportunity to just sit and be heard. So I'm still at it 10 years later, and it is, it's funny because we think we're here to help others, and so many times when we are at God's service, it's His way of ministering to us. So I don't think any of us came with that motive, but just I want to encourage you how God can use this to even come back to you as a blessing tenfold. So if you're on the fence and you're not quite sure if you can be used by God or how you can be used by God, you will be used by God and in ways that you probably don't even know. So I don't know, does that answer your questions?
Does
or
have
anybody?
Question for Nina?
Okay.
All right.
Well, good luck. Stay the course. And
Okay. So we're going to start with connection and communication. So A New Day is a faith-based agency. And what we mean by that is that our volunteers are all faith-based people, and we ask you to not sign, but agree with a statement of faith. How I see us as we practice lifestyle evangelism, so that we are the hands and feet of Jesus in the community. And I hope that's how we're seen. We serve everyone in the general public, so we serve everyone. It doesn't matter race, religion, philosophy, sexual orientation, gender. We serve everyone. We don't, however, evangelize or proselytize in any way. So we actually operate like professional counselors. We hold to the ethical standards of the American Association of Christian Counselors. And with that, what we do here is we meet people where they are when they come in and address the needs and issues that they want to address. So we don't have any hidden agenda. And those of you who maybe are Christian mentors or maybe evangelists, this is still going to be a great course for you because you'll take this information and use it other places. But that's actually not what we do here. So we respect each client where they are in their journey and encourage their healing and their growth. So religion is brought into the sessions only by the clients. So, and I will tell you that does happen, but way more often people are just coming in for life hurts and they want help, with dealing with, a divorce or an addict in the family or something like that. And you'll get your cue from your client where they are spiritually, and if it's appropriate, absolutely pray for your clients and pray with them at the end. And if that's not where they are, well, we still pray for them outside of the room, but we don't impose any of our spirituality on our clients. And what's good about that is I think initially when A New Day first started, we were seen as only a Christian organization, and I think more, public, like, behavioral health and places like that were more reticent to refer to us. But we have really established a reputation as a professional counseling group. So we get referrals from all over the county. So that's pretty great. So in lifestyle evangelism, that does include us taking care of ourselves. We want to, as counselors, personally strive to keep biblical standards We hold ourselves and our staff accountable to certain standards. However, we continue to be non-judgmental with each other and always non-judgmental with our clients. We have to establish a way of having unconditional acceptance of our clients, and that's a big jump. That's a learning curve for people, because a lot of times that's just not what our values are, not what our standards are. And so you really learn as a lay counselor how to bracket, and we'll talk about that again. But when you're listening to someone, you really learn how to park your opinion and your judgment and your values and meet them where they are, and help just help them verbally process what's going on, and that helps them in their journey. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? And it's a struggle, because it's not what we do. We're a fix-it culture. We're real quick and to tell people what they should do and how they should do it, and I'm going to beat that out of you. Yeah. I was talking with a man. I was with my girlfriend and her husband last night, and he was saying, well, I'm not all that empathetic, but I could tell them what to do, and then if they don't do it, then I'm just not going to feel bad for them. And I said, you should come to the class, but I don't know if I want you to be a counselor. Because we do have a lot of people that go through our class, but we don't invite everyone to be on our staff. But we invite everyone to come to our classes, because I think another sort of long-time vision of A New Day is to equip our whole community to be first responders in situations. So we'd like everybody to be able to go through the course at some point. And that's one of the reasons we're going to videotape this, or digital record it. Okay. With our Christian clients, our goal is to aid and help them develop a godly life and advance in their personal walk with Jesus. So we do have that option to do that as Christian counselors when that is what the person coming in is wanting to do. So we do have some people say that I want some biblical counseling, and not everyone feels equipped to do that, and so you would see that on their intake, and you could choose to take a client like that, or choose to say, maybe that's not the best fit for me. So we try to match you up with where you both best feel where you can be used. So I love this phrase, preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. I love that. I don't know if that's up here anywhere, but I love it. And that's how I see lifestyle evangelism. Hopefully that our light and salt is seen in the world. But we don't use words. Okay. Again, we see everyone all across the demographics. As lay counselors, you will see people down to 13 years of age, if you so choose. Some people want to see teenagers, some people don't want to see teenagers, and that's fine. We can accommodate you either way. We have lots of people. Lay counselors only see same-sexed people. So women will see women, men will see men. And yeah, people are from all social and financial brackets of our community and from various faiths, and they just come from all different places. So it's a wide range of clients that we get here. And there's a wide range of concerns. So there you have it. Just about everything that goes on, people come in with these kind of issues. A good chunk of our clients do have childhood trauma. And I really think that's because a good chunk of our clients, can't afford other kind of counseling. And I think individuals with childhood trauma just struggle more with life. And so we do see a lot of people that have those issues. Okay, so our training goals. Hopefully, when we finish this course, you'll have the knowledge to be a lay counselor at A New Day. But like Dina said, you're not going to feel like it's there, but it is. It's more learning on the job. Even when I graduated, with my master's degree, it's like, okay, well, I don't really feel like I know what I'm doing. It's really one of those things that you just have to do to learn how to do it. And a lot of lay counselors have said to me when they come on board, well, you're going to go in with me, aren't you? I go, no, you can do this. You got this. So this is important. As you see, there was a whole lot of different issues that we're going to address as we go through this course. And most of us, have raw spots somewhere. So if we're coming into one of those areas that you're feeling like, oh, this might be a little tough for me, it's always okay to get up and excuse yourself and take a break. So it's really important that, especially as a lay counselor, that you learn how to take care of yourself and have your own boundaries. And when things aren't comfortable for you, that you take care of yourself. And I will not be offended if anybody does that, and it does happen. So feel free to step out, breathe, say a prayer, and I'll come get you when we get on to the next topic. Okay, being an expert is not required. Clients come in because they're confused. They would like someone to listen to them. They're trying to figure stuff out. And it's amazing how much we can just figure it out ourselves when we have someone that listens to us and asks us good questions. That's a really good skill to learn here too, is asking good questions. I hope you don't feel like you have all the answers, because if you do, you could be dangerous. That's always concerning. So yeah, more than anything, more than your words, your wisdom is your love, your consistency, your dependability, the ability of that client to feel your empathy. That is what will make a difference in their world. So I like this. I talk about this at the first class and the last class. This is one of my favorite things, Maslow's 4 levels of learning. So there's that unconscious incompetence, and that is that you don't know that you don't know. And that's where my friend's husband is. He doesn't know that he doesn't know. And I liken it to driving a car. So I have a little grandson in the back, and Gigi, I could drive the car. All you do is this. He doesn't know that he doesn't know how to drive a car. He really thinks he could drive the car. And then the second stage is conscious incompetence. And that is, you know that you don't know. And a lot of times that's kind of where you end up, and you're going, oh, this isn't a comfortable place. I don't like this. And I liken that to using a stick shift in a car. When my dad was trying to teach me how to drive a stick shift, I just couldn't quite. It was really, really hard. In fact, I ended up in tears. I can't do this. I don't want to do it. I never want to drive again. So it's that uncomfortable place of kind of knowing that you don't know. And then that third stage is conscious competence. And that is that you know it, but you really have to focus, you have to prepare, you have to get yourself together. And that's where you are quite a bit in this first year of, when you're the first year of being a lay counselor. It's kind of like on the ground training. And you have the tools, but you have to concentrate and pay attention, and it's a little more work that first year. And then that last stage is unconscious competence, where you kind of know what you're doing, and not that you don't pray first and not that you don't prepare, but it's more of an organic, natural process for you. I was going to back up a little bit because Dina was saying she had four clients. I didn't want to scare any of you. That we start out with one client, and then if that goes well and you would like a second one, then that's great. I would say most of our counselors have about 2 clients. Some have 3 and some have 4. So it's really up to what you feel capable of, both emotionally and with your time. So I didn't want to scare any of you. I have 4, sometimes 5 clients. I thought, okay. So learning is a positive act. You have to put yourself out to do it. One of the most sincere forms of respect is actually listening to what the other has to say. Isn't that true? Don't you feel really, valued when somebody really sits and listens? Yeah, that's a gift. That is a gift. Okay, so I'm going to let you write down a few things that you think, what characteristics are necessary to be a good lay counselor. So just take a minute and think about what kind of qualities, what characteristics would be important for me And I'm not going to ask you to share. We're going to just move on. It's just something to think about for a minute. Okay, I hope I'm not interrupting any of you, but we'll just kind of move on. It's just something to think about. Okay, what things do I think are important? And now we're going to talk about some things that we think are important. And number one is a commitment to live a godly life. I mean, we are a Christian ministry, and we really do want to, honor Christ in our ministry. And we really do strive to keep growing spiritually. I think it's really important as part of your overall ministry here at A New Day. Self-awareness is really important. We'll talk more about this too, but being aware of what your triggers are when you're getting in the way of the counseling, and we just have to. We just need to be self-aware to understand those things. Other orientation, being able to really focus on someone else, and really park any needs for yourself over to the side. So that's a definite requirement. And empathy, we need to be able to connect emotionally and really feel those feelings of that client to make a difference. There is a real thing, mirror neurons, that when we're really connected with someone and sitting and listening to them, something goes on in our brains where we literally can feel what's going on with them. But it does take effort on our part and sincere focus in listening. Attunement, just being able to tune into our clients, same kind of thing, just being able to really focus, tune into our clients. Warmth, genuineness, we have to be real. If we're not real, people can eventually sort of catch that, and it just doesn't work. We have to be vulnerable, and we have to be real. And we have to be trustworthy. We have to do what we say. Our clients have to be absolutely reassured that their information is confidential. Very, very important. They have to know that we're going to be there when we say we're going to be there. So just trustworthiness is especially important. Okay, and then flexibility. This is interesting. We have to, you'll get your intake and it says, I want to come in and work on my addiction. And then the person comes in and they talk about that maybe once or twice, but then they're off going somewhere else. And we have to be flexible. This is what's important to the client right now, not what we think is more important. So the client is always the expert, always. They know where they want to go and what they want to do. Unconditional acceptance, and we've talked about that, just being able to not necessarily, accept a behavior, but you accept the person and you listen to that behavior and support them. So it's unconditionally accepting people. And humility. Yeah, really, as we know, we've all fallen short, and none of us are any better than anyone else. So a real sense of humility is important. When we honestly ask ourselves which person in our lives means the most to us, we often find that it is those who, instead of giving advice, solutions, or cures, have chosen rather to share our pain and touch our wounds with a gentle and tender hand. Okay, we're going to talk about motivations for helping others. These are unhealthy motivations for helping others. One is a need for relationships. So obviously you do not go into counseling because you want to have relationship. You have a special relationship there, but your relational needs need to be met outside of the counseling room. So you have to be a person who has 2 or 3 other close friends or some other friends. It's just, it keeps it healthy. Otherwise, because we are born for a connection, we might want to connect with this person as our friend, and that's kind of stealing their opportunity from them to have a therapist, right? So we don't go into being a counselor for relationships. A need for control, and that's another big one. So many of us think that we are smarter and know what the right answer is and what people should be doing. So it's really important for us to not be getting any control needs met in our counseling. Or a need to rescue. Once again, I'm going to go save this person. I can do this. I have whatever. No, we walk alongside people while they journey their own way. We don't save anyone. Or a need for personal healing. So again, if we have needs or insecurities, or we need to bolster ourselves in some ways, we have to get those needs met outside of counseling. So we're going to talk about boundaries, and we talk a lot about boundaries as lay counselors. And as in counseling in general, it's just kind of a lifelong growth kind of thing. But we're going to talk about the difference between feeling responsible to our clients and responsible for our clients. So when we feel responsible for our clients, like it's our job, whatever happens with them is our job, we want to fix them, protect them, control them. It's like, it's up to me what happens with this client. And that's such a hard thing to let go of. It's really not up to us. It's up to that client. We really need to not have our own agenda about what this client decides to do or how far they're going to go. I think more often than that, what happens a lot is a client gets to a certain spot and we can see, so many more wonderful possibilities for them, but they're done for now. And okay, great. Call back in the future if you have a need for our services. So I think we need to remember that, and think about yourself. We grew as a response to many people in our lives, many influences in our lives. It's not one person that has helped us, fully mature or grow the way we're growing. So we're just a little piece in that client's life. If we have to keep humility about ourselves. We're just a piece of that puzzle as they go through their life. And here's the other thing that happens when we're feeling responsible. Like if my client's not really doing great, there's something wrong with me, whatever. We end up feeling anxious. They're not getting better. They're not fearful. People are going to think I'm a terrible counselor because this isn't going the way I want it to go. Liable, like it's up to me. Tired and frustrated. So anytime, and this will happen, it happens to the best of us, but I think anytime that we notice those feelings, it's time to just really examine what's going on and examine our boundaries with our clients. And so that's a great thing to bring up in staff meeting when people are getting frustrated. It's a good thing to talk about. Okay, let's talk about, what your goals are, what are their goals. They might be different. When I feel responsible for other people, I'm more concerned with the solution. We got to get to this place because this is when you're going to be better, rather than their process, their growth, how they want to address whatever that issue is. We get concerned with performance. We get concerned with answers, and we get really hung up on being right. So that's a major red flag when we're feeling like, we're right and they better start listening to us because, darn it, we know what's going on here. Major red flag. Yeah. Okay, so now here are, when we're responsible to others, these are healthy boundaries, and I hope you all recognize yourself in these. Okay? So here's some healthy boundaries. We're able to show empathy. We're able to stay tuned in to that person. We can confront with love, and that's once you have a solid relationship with the client, it's really okay to confront with love. And how we do that is by asking good questions. So we might not necessarily confront, that might be a little harsh of a word, but asking good questions, pointing out, well, you were thinking that you wanted to do this. You said this is what was happening, and I'm seeing it kind of like this way. Do you see it that way? So that's kind of like, so confronts are kind of harsh, but anyway, with love, we can get away with a lot. When the clients know we're on their side, we can get away with a lot of missteps. They are very gracious with us. They know that we are working, for them. We have to be able to be sensitive, and we have to learn how to listen. I mean, clients should be doing like 80%, 90% of the talking. So in some ways that's a relief, right? It takes the pressure off. It's really just about learning how to listen. And it's amazing, lay counsels, especially your first time going in. What am I going to say? What should I say? I said, you just go in and listen, and we will start tonight on active listening skills, restating, rephrasing, asking good questions. It's kind of basic stuff. And what you will find is people are so honored that they are being listened to, that you'll be lucky sometimes to get your rephrasing, restating in, because they have things to say. People come here and they have a lot to say. So let them talk. When we're just responsible to others, we're going to show up for you, and we're going to be supportive, and we're going to be tuned in, and we're going to ask you those good questions. But it's going to be up to you what you decide to do. We end up feeling relaxed because their progress isn't up to me. It's what they want to do. We're more relaxed. We're here. We're present. We want to support you, but it's not a big pressure. We're able to be tuned in. We're aware. We're comfortable. And we feel good about ourselves, because we're not worried about what my client, if my client doesn't do what I think, then I'm failing as a counselor. So we feel good about ourselves when we just show up, be present, and use our skills. And when I feel responsible to others, I'm really more concerned with connecting with my client than sharing my wisdom. My concern is connecting with my client. My concern is that my client knows I am listening. My concern is that my client can sense that I care. And I'm concerned for my client's welfare. I'm concerned with being sensitive to my client. And I'm concerned with being sensitive to the Holy Spirit. So here's a fun fact here. The nature of communication, when we're communicating with someone, 7% of it is our words. When we're really, heart to heart connecting. Our body posture and gestures have a 55%. So I'm not really hung up about if your legs are crossed, but certainly you're not ever going to do this, and certainly you're never going to do this. But it's not. I mean, this other stuff doesn't really matter. But there are some harsh body language that can be detrimental, and I think that those are the only two I can think of. But this one's really bad. Voice, tone, and inflection. So there's a lot from your voice. My voice is kind of raspy today, but I think it's allergies. But we'll talk more about this too. There is so much that you do with your voice in counseling. It's just amazing, because you'll notice that we get excited when we talk faster and louder. It just kind of amps up the energy, and then if our client is there amped up and it's, we want to try and help pull it down. It's kind of just we lower our voice. We slow our voice down, and that really it affects the temperature in the room. So low and slow. And I tell that to, again, my new counselors when they're going in, they're kind of right at the top of your notes, low and slow. Just lower your voice, slow down, and it lowers the temperature. So you can use that at home as well, low and slow. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a little moment now and let's talk about what we've been talking about. What does this boundary thing, is that making sense to you? What do you think about that boundary stuff that we've been talking about?
No, it's not new.
It's not new. Is it new to anybody? Is this boundary conversation new to anybody? Okay. And you don't have to answer, but did something jump out to you that, okay, that's something that I'm going to have to look out for in myself? This is one of these that I might want to watch for. Did anything? Okay. because that's part of self-awareness, is learning what we have to look out for, because we're all different. So what do I need to look out for myself? Yeah. Okay, well, I have been talking your ear off, so I am going to let you take a break and stand up and move around and go get a drink and use the bathroom. So we'll take like a 10-minute break. Does that sound good? Okay. All right. Okay, let's plow on through here. We already talked about that. We talked about the nature of communication. We want to sit square. We want to face our client. Obviously, we're not going to be sideways. Open body language, as we already talked about. Leaning into contact really tells people that you're interested when you lean in. So that really is taken in by the listener as somebody really trying to connect with me. Obviously, eye contact, and then just being relaxed, giving that message: I am emotionally available for you. So, really, I think one of the biggest obstacles to connecting with clients is that agenda to fix. It's seriously just embedded in us, and you're going to find it, not so much today because we're not going to role play, but tomorrow or next week we will, and it's just so hard to not fix. It's a challenge. We just want to connect with our client and support our client. So it can be an obstacle if we just aren't able to or unwilling to get outside of ourselves and hold our own thoughts over here. My opinion, I guess we'll call our thoughts my opinion over here, and just stay with what you are. Does that make sense what I'm saying when I say bracket? It's a skill, and it's funny. I don't do it with my husband or my kids, but you get into your little counseling room, you can do it really well. But what you'll find is the skills that you will learn here when there is something serious that happens at home, or when you really want to change your gears, you will be able to really listen and bracket. But it's not natural. Okay. So our need for control is really a lot about our own anxiety. So again, the process of that person, taking control of their emotions, of their life, of being heard is more important than what boxes we can check off about what goals were achieved. Our fear of making mistakes can get in our ways too. So it's okay. We're going to make mistakes. We just will. And in fact, what I'm going to do at staff meeting next week, I thought this would be a fun activity because I just made a mistake myself in my own counseling that I was going to share. I thought I'm going to start, but I'm going to say, okay, I want everybody to share a mistake, something that you did poorly, because we learn from it and it's okay. And I think our staff meetings are very safe, and I think it's important to not pretend like any of us are perfect or any of us have it all together, because we can't be vulnerable and learn if there's that kind of standard. We don't, and it's very open and supportive. But that's going to be my question, because I already know what my answer is for mine because I made a mistake. Okay. So here's some more tips for connecting. Remember, you're not responsible for the outcome. That's the main thing. You are not responsible for the outcome. Another tip for connecting is bonding. It's really important to establish that rapport, to connect with your client. The first 2 or 3 sessions, the whole focus is connecting with your client. Spend that time letting them know that you are present. That's the whole goal, is some bonding in those first few sessions. And attunement, just being in tune with your client. Research in emotional development and neuroscience confirm that personal change in therapy depends upon your experience in therapy, not so much on insight. Isn't that interesting? So it's your experience. And that's what we try to provide as lay counselors, a safe environment where that client can experience being listened to and processing their own emotional thoughts. Okay, if there's an elephant in the room, don't ignore it. If something's feeling awkward, say, something's feeling awkward. Did I say something that maybe wasn't right? Or it's really okay to address that. It's important to address it. And the wonderful thing is that if we're being authentic and genuine with our clients, they're happy to tell us. they're happy to get us back on track. So yeah, anytime something feels weird or it doesn't feel right, say, gosh, it's just not feeling right. Can you help me with that? Did I do something? And again, have some humility about, oh, you know what? I misstepped there. Maybe I misspoke there. I apologize. That was the other thing that I would suggest you do, that I do also, is as you review a session, if there's something you said that you thought maybe wasn't quite right or was maybe getting into the wrong lane, or you can address it first thing make yourself a note, the first thing next session, just say, I want to start out by saying, I think I maybe overstepped right here, or I'm wondering if that was, and my other experience with it is most of the time they go, no, I don't know what you're talking about, but at least we address it, and if it's there, we can talk about that. Be very careful about touching other people. I am sort of a touchy-feely person, but in general, I think it's even before COVID, it's important to be careful about touching people. Especially when people have been victims of sexual molestation. They're very sensitive. It comes up a little less for the lay counselors because women are seeing women and men are seeing men, so there's a little less of that issue. It's, I think, a bigger deal for a man to touch someone than a woman, just because there's that power discrepancy, so that's a little, women are basically a little safer in general, but something to think about, especially if you tend to be one of those kind of people like I am. And you do not need to give in to demands. That's for Kim. So, yeah, it's hard. We have to remember to have our boundaries, and sometimes a good thing is let me think about that if you're asked something, because a client might say, I really would prefer to meet Tuesdays at 4 instead of at 3. And most of our lay counselors know clearly what hours they're going to do that, and they'll say no. But sometimes the counselor, there's a good reason. Maybe this client all of a sudden has a job, and so they need to switch it, and the counselor may choose to do that. Or if you have a really busy schedule and you can't do that, then you just say, I'm not going to be able to do that. Either you can make this work, or I can put you on. I'll try and get you in with another counselor that can work for. But just be real careful about your boundaries, because that will burn you out if you're jumping through hoops. Staying, making time changes, or if a client wants more sessions, all those kind of things. Just be really careful. We don't offer more sessions. When someone says, I want more sessions, we do not do that. It's once a week. As you go on and they get, develop and they're not feeling need to come in so much, it's fine to go to every other week also. That happens a lot. But as far as asking for more sessions, we don't do that. Unless there is a crisis situation. And then that is a time that we always offer that client more sessions. If you as a lay counselor can't do that, and you talk to me or Keith, and right now just kind of how it's divided up is I'm pretty much doing all the lay counseling supervision, and Keith is doing the associates, just because of the days that we work. It's kind of gotten into pretty clear divide, really. But anytime you think you're dealing with a crisis, you will, and we'll go over this in the crisis, but you'll talk to either me or Keith. And if we think that client needs to be seen more, we will see if you can do that. And if you can't do that, we will do that. So that's the only time that we bump that up from once a week. Transference and countertransference. So we will all experience this. Trust me, it will come up. So transference is the redirection of a client's feelings for a significant person to the therapist. So we will remind our clients of someone, and that can either be good or bad, but it will come up. And I always, if I have a client, it doesn't come up a whole lot that they say it, but if a client says, "Oh gosh, you remind me of my aunt," I always want to know, well, what was your relationship? What was your aunt like? Because, it kind of colors the situation. So, and quite frankly, clients tend to fall in love or really idolize, their counselor. So it's almost like an unfair power position, whether you expect that or not. It just sort of happens, and it's just really important to treat that whole thing with respect and just be aware of your power. Countertransference is when a therapist feels emotional entanglement with the client. It's the same thing when a client maybe reminds them of someone else, or they get enmeshed in it, like they kind of lose their boundaries in terms of, maybe this client reminds you of your teenage niece who you adore and who's had a very difficult time, and I just really want to maybe be a mama to this teen girl and maybe overstep, countertransference. I'm getting overly invested in this client as opposed to being professional. I mean, we do that a little bit anyway, but when it's getting not healthy. When I first started counseling, declined and did not do well with any kind of rebellious teenager, because I had married a man with 2 rebellious teenagers, and I still had not processed that. I was still sort of in the thick of it also. So I just couldn't do that because I had an attitude. So that was a trigger for me. A lot of countertransference. So that's just a time when this is not a client I'm even going to take. Now, as I said earlier, I think that can come full circle, and it can come to be an advantage having that experience, and I think now it's an advantage for me in seeing teens. But there was a time that I had to step away. So anytime you feel yourself, getting too riled up, we just check in and see what's going on there. Is this client reminding you of someone? We all continue to have unresolved issues. Right when we think we got them done, there's another one that pops up. I don't know why that is, but no kidding. So we just have to be aware. Oh wow, that's weird. Why was I so shook up about that? We have an associate here who was seeing a couple and was so riled up about something going on in that couple thing that I just thought, what is going on here? And yeah, Keith and I were talking. He says, I think we got some countertransference going on here, because at one point this was going on for her. And I went, oh yeah. So we talked about it, and we were going to talk to the associate about it. And she came to staff meeting and said, I think I have some countertransference going on here. Yeah. So she was really triggered. Yeah. So we have to be aware of our unresolved issues. Factors that contribute to overall effectiveness of counseling. The number one thing, 80%, you're almost home free, is your relationship. So that's why we spend that time really focusing on building that relationship and making that connection. So that's 80%, because once a person feels safe, kind of like they can just really maybe let things down and really start expanding what they want to work on and grow. So 80% of a person's growth. 10% is the client readiness. So when clients come in ready to work on something, they're 10% there. When a mom brings in a kid that doesn't want to be there, they're not that 10% there. you lose that one. Placebo effect, 5%. I mean,
you put that above the counselor skill. I like that.
I did that on purpose because, well, first of all, the placebo effect is that you get better just because you even made the appointment, because you're even showing up.
Okay.
How many times do you call the doctor and you have something's wrong, and then your appointment's the next day, and I don't know if I still have that. I think it. There's a placebo effect. So people get better just by walking in the door.
That's great.
And then I did do that, Lisa, on purpose because our skill and our interventions do play a part, but it's not as much as we think. It's our relationship.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's relief.
Yeah. Yeah.
On
It's
this
our
case.
relationship. Yeah. And Chris, you were a lay counselor for a while. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're set free. A therapist who's empathetic, attuned, and vitally engaged with the client provides a life-changing experience. There you go. Put that on your wall. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some restating. And this is jumping into the next chapter. We're not going to go that far because this is next week, but I always do it this way. I kind of cheat and kind of get you started to sort of, get into a little bit of exercises. So restating is basically restating. It's very simple. Is there a restating box up there? Oh, I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to do some restating, okay? So, and when we do this, and when you do this week, because this is your homework, you're going to practice this at home, and we're going to maybe go and do little groups, and you're going to practice this. It sounds canned, stupid, and weird, and it's okay. Just say, I'm practicing. Because this is step one. And then next week we'll kind of nuance it a little bit to where it feels a little more real and natural. But right now, we're just going to do this fun little game, and I'm going to have you say back to me, restate this for me. How about this? My husband said he would leave me if I didn't lose weight and get a job. Can somebody just restate that?
Her husband said he was going to leave her if she didn't lose weight.
Right. That's exactly it. But now let's pretend like that it's me.
Start.
So what I heard you say is that your husband's going to leave you if you don't lose weight.
Right.
Oh,
So that's exactly it.
I see.
And believe it or not, people really feel heard when we do things like that. It just sounds a little weird at first. And as I said, we'll get more nuanced as we go, but it's really that simple. So this is just restating. My husband said he's sick of taking care of me. Can somebody restate that for me?
I heard you say you have a husband that's tired or sick of taking care of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to be worried about what my mom would think of me.
So what I heard you say is you used to be worried about what your mom used to think of you.
Right. Pretty simple, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to do a little exercise. And so what I want, let's see, how can we do this with some restating? Because you guys don't have these things here. Shoot. We're going to take a little break, and I'm going to go copy this so that you just have a few little phrases that you can, and you're going to just restate with each other. And then, as I said, your homework is going to be to look for opportunities to restate. And even if you can either tell your family you're doing it, say this is my homework, or just do it and see if they notice.
Oh, my kids would notice.
Your kids would notice. Okay, let's take just a 5-minute break. Okay. Anybody else have any response to that? That was really too hard. Okay. But what we're going to do next week is we're going to start with that, basic restating, and we're going to call it rephrasing. So it's taking all that and you're just going to rephrase it back. And then we're going to start looking for feelings. So that's when we just step over the line and it gets really good and juicy because our culture is not trained to listen for feelings. We listen for facts. And active listening is we're really trying to get to that feeling and listen for feelings. And the other good news about that is that we can't guess wrong, because if we do it tentatively enough, the clients will correct us. And so we'll still get to that juicy emotion without, so anyway, that's what we get to do next week. This is really going to be fun. I guarantee. Okay. And we are finished. We are finished with this class, but I'm going to leave you with this little listening poem, okay? So this is called Listening, and this is by Dr. Robert Hatcher, and this is from May 24th, 1974, so some things don't change. Okay. When I ask you to listen to me and you start giving advice, you have not done what I asked. When I ask you to listen to me, and you begin to tell me why I shouldn't feel that way, you are trampling on my feelings. When I ask you to listen to me and you feel you have to do something to solve my problem, you have not listened to me, strange as that may seem. Listen. All I asked was that you listen, not talk or do, just hear me. Advice is cheap. And I can do for myself. I'm not hopeless, maybe discouraged and faltering, but not helpless. When you do something for me that I can and need to do for myself, you contribute to my fear and my inadequacy. But when you accept as a simple fact that I do feel what I feel, no matter how irrational, then I can quit trying to convince you and can get about the business of understanding what's behind this irrational feeling. And when that's clear, the answers are obvious, and I don't need advice. Isn't that great?
Really good.
It's really good, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, and I know you all want a copy, and you get one next week.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any questions? Any comments, feedback, requests? Besides chocolate? No. Okay.
Dark.
Okay, well, I'm going to close this in prayer. Okay, Lord, I just am so grateful for this time together with these individuals who are really giving a sacrifice of their time to learn more about being available for other hurting people in the world. And I pray that you bless the rest of their day and encourage them in this path that we're about to take together. I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're good to go.